Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rogers Kakasungura YouTube channel. Today, William Ruto has been set for the ICC case after he gets out of power. William Ruto's advisors are not sensitive to things, and I'll tell you why. I'm happy that this issue has been recorded and well kept. It will be used against him after he gets out of power. He only needs to pray the God he worships, that the president who takes over after him in 2027 or 2032 is a very humble president who will not implicate him, because this is so dangerous. Ruto doesn't listen to himself. Ruto doesn't remember what he said yesterday. He just speaks for the sake of speaking. He can be able to walk away with it now because he's the CIC. But power is transient. And once you get out of power and you are powerless, the things you did when you had power will come to haunt you. And this question will definitely haunt William Ruto after he gets out of power. Take it to the bank and get a loan. I'll be here, God willing, to remind you what I said in May 2025. Can we listen to the question?
Hello, I'm Eva Eronen from YLA Finnish Broadcasting Company. According to rights groups, dozens of people were killed during last year's protest, and also there have been enforced disappearances and many are still missing. Your Excellency, President William Ruto, what is the Kenyan government doing to ensure such violations will not happen again?
Thank you very much for asking that question. I know that it will be a subject of discussion between my guests here with members of the civil society and other members of the Kenyan society. The statistics are arguable this way or the other way, but that does not take away from the issues that have been raised around what happened on the dates you have mentioned. There are three things that I can speak to it. Number one is that there is an accountability mechanism to make sure that that situation is attended to, and a proper accountability mechanism is put in place. That's number one. Number two is the fact that I undertook to the country that being a democracy, and robustly so, that Kenyans must not, as has happened in the past, where Kenyans disappeared and their bodies were found in all manner of places, that will not happen under my administration. And all the people who disappeared or who were abducted in what you said, all of them have been brought back to their families and to their homes. And I have given clarity and firm instructions that nothing of that kind of nature will happen again. And that it was my commitment as I became president that extrajudicial disappearances of Kenyans will not be part of what we are doing as a nation. Additionally, we have taken proactive steps. My first assignment when I became president was to extend the independence of our investigative agencies, including the police, give them financial autonomy, give them operational autonomy that is guaranteed in the Constitution. And we have since transferred the budget from the Office of the President for the police to the Police Service Commission, and the Inspector General of the Police is now solely responsible for matters operation, for matters finances, and that my office has now nothing to do with the operations, the financing of police activities, to give them independence. Secondly, is to enhance the independence of the judiciary by making sure that we expand the budget for the judiciary, make sure that whatever other interventions that are necessary to make sure that our judiciary is independent and can function at an optimal level, including what Cabinet approved a few weeks ago to make sure that judges have a proper retirement package that also ensures that they have transportation and other benefits that initially were not available to them, as part of my push to make sure that the judiciary is independent and is capacitated to be able to discharge their responsibility as part of checks and balances between the different arms of government.
I think we'll take a final question.
Ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto today in State House hosted and held talks with Alexander Stubb, the president of Finland. And this is the very first time the president of Finland is visiting Kenya. They signed 2 MOUs on political consultations and peace mediation and conflict resolution, which is, according to Ruto, the key instrument in advancing the shared values and global partnerships. The journalist asking William Ruto a question is not a Kenyan. She is from Finland. Yeah? Ndugu zanguni wa Kenya, there's something you don't know. There's something you don't know. You know, I listened to that question very carefully. It's about abductions. And William Ruto implicated himself in responding and said, all the people who were abducted have been returned to their families. So, in this video, Ruto is agreeing that yes, there were abductions. Ruto is agreeing, anakubali. There were abductions. He has accepted, he has admitted there were abductions. Number 2, in this response, William Ruto has implicated himself that he was very much aware on where those who were abducted were being held. Because you can't surrender people to families if you didn't have them. So Ruto knows where they were hidden. That is why he says, walitolewa pale, wakapatiwa familia. That's point number 2. Point number 3, in this response, Ruto admits that he was aware who abducted those Gen Zs. Because if you are not aware, you can't be able to tell where they are. Point number 4. In this particular response to the Finland journalist, William Ruto agrees that yes, those who were abducted were under his custody as the president. So anasema tuliwapeana kwa wenyewe. So uwezi peana kitu ambacho hauna. Ladies and gentlemen, why is it a setup? When Gen Zs were abducted, the Law Society of Kenya demanded for justice. And people went to the streets demanding for justice. But you know what? The president stood in public. The setup is so clear. William Ruto, in a public forum, he was in Kisumu. He said, yeye kama president, hajui mtu mwenye alipotea, na hajawahi pata jina hata moja ya mtu mwenye amepotea. Na alisema, kama kuna mzazi mtoto wake amepotea, akuje alete ripoti kwa William Samoei Ruto. Can we listen to him?
Now, President William Ruto maintained that there were no abductions carried out by security agencies during the recent anti-government protests in the country, saying he has not received reports on the same. His sentiments come at a time when some families are still looking for their kin months after they disappeared mysteriously following the deadly demonstrations. And as NTV's Rose Wangoi reports, the Law Society of Kenya has raised concerns about the spate of abductions and called on the government for the release of two brothers and activist Bob Njagi, who were abducted in broad daylight within Kitengela town.
There are several cases of abductions that were reportedly carried out in broad daylight by armed people in civilian attire. During the Gen Z-led anti-tax protest, dozens of people took to the streets. Tens were killed. Some, however, never returned home because they were abducted by people believed to be police or state agents. Speaking during a town hall session in Kisumu, President William Ruto said he was not aware of any abductions, challenging any family whose kin went missing under unclear circumstances to forward their names to the government for action.
If there is a family, any family, that their child or their friend or their relative went to a demonstration, whether it is last year or this year, and never came back, I want to know the names, because I will take firm and decisive action. Because as I talk to you today, I don't have a single name of somebody who has been abducted or disappeared.
The head of state said he stands by the commitment he made to deal with cases of abductions and extrajudicial killings.
I do not want a situation where a Kenyan disappears. There were days when people were found 20, 30 in the Vayala here, executed. I want to promise you and to promise the people of Kenya that under my administration, there will be no Kenyans in Rivayala or any other river or in any other place.
Ruto's sentiments come at a time when the Law Society of Kenya has raised concerns about the spate of abductions. In a statement, LSK is calling for the release of two brothers and an activist who were abducted within Kitengela town. Jamil Longton, his brother Aslam Longton, and activist Bob Njagi vanished on August 19th. They were abducted by people who the family claims are police officers. LSK claims the three have been missing for 11 days now under unclear circumstances, which demonstrates a total disregard for the rule of law. According to data from rights groups, 66 people were abducted or went missing during the protest. Those who were abducted were tortured by their kidnappers. Some were released while others are still missing. Meanwhile, human rights activist groups said they will send a delegation to State House on September 4th to present a list of those killed and disappeared to the president in efforts to stop extrajudicial killings and enforce disappearances in the country. The Kenya Human Rights Commission has also condemned President William Ruto's recent remarks denying any knowledge of police abductions during anti-government protest, calling his comments a blatant lie. Every year on August 30th, the world observes the International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances. The day highlights the grave injustices meted on countless individuals and their families around the world and calls for action to prevent such atrocities in the future. Rose Wangoi, NTV.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye on these developments in regards to those who have reported as having some of their kin having...
So, ladies and gentlemen, Ruto today has been set up for ICC after he gets out of power. Whether you like it or not, this question was asked. Najua hawezi jua, lakini nyinyi jueni kama wa Kenya. Hili swali lilikuwa intentional, liliulizwa na mzungu, kulikuwa na sababu, and there is a reason why it was recorded. Mutaniambia after William Ruto gets out of power. You'll tell me this is a trap. And Kasongo has fallen in it. Amejitia kitanzi mwenyewe. Hey, God bless you. See you in the next episode. Asanteni sana.